Cornah. Welcome to BBC Spotlight. Good evening. The number of speeding offences in Devon and Cornwall has tripled in the last 5 years. A BBC Freedom of Information request shows Devon and Cornwall police issued just over 78,000 speeding notices in 2020. Last year, that figure rose to 237,000. Two cameras were the busiest on the A38 at Landrake and on the A383 in Newton Abbot. David Dixon reports.
Speed cameras. Love them or hate them, they always divide opinion. Communities often campaign to get a camera in their town. Landrake on the A38 has been a 30-mile-an-hour zone since August. These diners at a community lunch had mixed views on the issue.
We have a resident where we live who's already had 2 tickets, ridiculous speed limits, for like 3 miles an hour over the limit. It's not fair. And the next minute you're into a 50-mile-an-hour limit and you can't tell the difference.
Well, I found it very difficult to see through it in the beginning because you're in one, then you go into another. I thought I would have had a fine by now, but I've got away with it.
In 2025, this one captured 9,604 motorists going too fast. It's a similar story over the border in Devon, a local campaign to reduce the limit. This is the busiest one in the region. I'm on the A383, the main road into Newton Abbot. The speed limit now is 30 miles an hour, and it's enforced by this camera here, which caught 10,134 people driving too fast in 2025.
I've been caught by this camera along with many other people, and yeah, hands up. You know, it's if you're caught, aren't you? If you're going over the speed limit,
a couple of miles over the speed limit, is it really breaking the law?
Devon and Cornwall police say most cameras are installed at collision hotspots after direct appeals from the community, and that they're extremely effective at reducing overall speeds. David Dixon, BBC Spotlight.
Beekeepers in Devon say they've experienced far higher losses than normal this winter, and it's thought the wet weather is to blame. One beekeeper in Ivybridge has seen 10 of his 11 hives fail since the new year, with others reporting similar losses. It comes after parts of our region experienced more than 50 consecutive days of wet weather. James Diamond reports.
As you can see within the brood.
Of Dennis's 11 hives here, 10 have been wiped out. Exactly why isn't clear. It could be illness, poor mating or temperature, but it is known bees don't like wet weather, and across our region this has been one of the wettest winters ever.
It is truly devastating for any beekeeper, and I know that that's been replicated across sort of the southwest. I've never had this much sort of die off, and I've known beekeepers within different parts of the region, and they've had similar outcomes this season.
Ashley taught Dennis to beekeep. He's been in the industry for more than a decade and says the past few months have been particularly unusual.
And bees do not like the wet, so the wet, mild winters that we get in the southwest have been particularly bad this year. I mean, we've had, 3 months of rain, and that is time the bees can't go out and cleanse on a cleansing flight, they can't go out and forage, and that's denying the brood nest really important spring protein to allow them to get through the kind of winter months. You can expect about 20% loss. I think, anecdotally, I'm hearing, 80% is some total losses in some apiary sites, where people have lost every single colony from one site. It's definitely a lot higher than normal.
For now, Dennis is forced to put out what are called bait hives to try and attract wild bees as replacements this spring. James Diamond, BBC Spotlight in Ivybridge.
A Clean Rivers campaigner has finished a 400-mile run from the River to London to draw attention to the growing pollution of his local waterway. John Mildmay White said the challenge pushed him to his limits. He set off from the because the river's popular beach at Mothercombe keeps failing official bathing water tests.
I know there's a lot of anger out there with people, quite rightly, about what's happening to these places, to our rivers. But I wanted more of a message of positivity of actually we can do things. And even if that starts small with just a collective litter pick twice a year, that's taking action and you feel like you're making an improvement and we can work to bigger things together.
A piece of plastic collected during a beach clean near Padstow is thought to be around 80 years old. The green lion, which was discovered by a volunteer sorting through debris, is believed to have come from a board game first manufactured in 1946. The community group Beach Guardian says it's the oldest piece of plastic they've found.
The great thing for us about finding these really old pieces is it really starts to bring the sort of the history of plastics into the present day and how long things like this can just stay around for in the environment.
Okay, it's time to check out the weather forecast now, and David has all the details.
Thank you, Natalie. Good evening. We've waited a long time for a spell of dry weather. This week it is arriving. Warmer too for a short while, particularly Wednesday and Thursday, with some sunshine and then cooling down a bit towards the end of the week. But lots of dry weather, that's the important bit. A bit of drizzle possible overnight tonight and perhaps tomorrow, but with south and then southeast winds developing over the next 24, 36 hours, there's dry air coming out of France, and that's going to help lift the temperatures, but also bring a bit more in the way of sunshine. There are a few holes in the cloud overnight tonight, but generally rather cloudy. Minimum temperature 8 or 9 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast has holes developing more and more in the cloud. The exception to that, perhaps the south coast of Devon and Cornwall, where some low cloud could be around for a time, but many of us seeing a bit more in the way of sunshine. Warmer than we've seen today as well, with our top temperature up at 13 or 14 degrees. Bye for now.
Thanks so much indeed, David. That's all from the late team. Our next news is at 6:30 tomorrow morning. Do have a good night. Bye-bye.